Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius. And today, we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. In honor of my guest, we have a Mario-based video game to talk about, a book about Scooby-Doo, and we have the totally awesome guest. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Patrick Noonan. Patrick is better known as Super Pat, the creator of the hit Facebook gaming channel, Super Pat World.
Wow, thank you so much for that introduction, Tiberius, and thanks for having me on the show. I'm a big fan of yours.
And I'm a big fan of your channel, too. Well, today we're going to start off with the video of the week, and this is going to be super!
Oh, yeah.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
And now it's time for the video game of the week. Today's video game is Super Mario Brothers. This game is made by Nintendo. Nintendo has made thousands of games. I learned how to play this game and speedrun this game from my guest, Super Pat World.
Woo!
So first off, I get into the game and you see our favorite character, Mario.
It's me.
Yeah. I played on a browser emulator, so you have to move around using WASD or the arrow keys. You can get this game on your Wii or many other devices. So you have to move right and have to defeat the Goomba. Then you have to make it through the level. There are things to jump on and, of course, bricks to break or climb. You can get the mushroom and become bigger. When you get to the end of the level, you get to climb a staircase and jump off to slide down the flagpole. Then you have to beat the next level, which is 1-2. Then you have to go all the way through the other levels to level 8-4 to beat the boss Bowser after all of the other levels. Then, once you beat the game, you can then play it again.
It's true.
Well, I have been learning about this game from my guest, Super Pat World. And I have been learning all the secrets and how to skip levels and find secret passages.
Nice. Very nice. It's an amazing game. Gotta love Mario.
So, Pat, you really love the game. Well, why?
Well, a big part of the reason is because I've been playing Mario since I was your age, Tiberius, since I was a little kid.
I mean,
And
makes sense.
It's one of those things that as long as I've been playing video games, I've always been playing Mario. So it's sort of it makes me feel nostalgic and happy to be able to play Mario games.
Because, I mean, now you, remember anything. Can you beat the game blindfolded?
I don't think I could beat it blindfold. I need to at least be able to see it. Some people can, though. I've seen them. They just use the sound effects to know where things are.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Very impressive.
Well, I give Super Mario Brothers 12 out of 10 stars because you can enjoy speedruns and seeing how fast you can play through the levels. And my guest, Super Pat World, loves it.
Yes, I do.
And now it's time for the Book of the Week, Scooby-Doo and the Salem Witch Showdown. This book was written by Matthew Manning. Let me read to the back of the book. In fact, Pat, would you like to do the honors?
I would love to do the honors. Witches are on the loose in Salem, and they're wreaking havoc at the annual costume contest. The Mystery Inc. gang is supposed to be judging the contest, but first, they need your help to solve a spooktacular mystery and save the town. Will the gang choose the right path or find themselves at a dead end? Should they follow the witches or flee Salem for good? Will there ever be a costume contest winner?
Oh, no. Well, this is not an AR book, and this is a choose-your-own-adventure book. So there's 12 possible endings. So Mystery Inc. is going to a school contest for a mystery. So they go inside and meet the principal. Then the lights go out, and the winner of the costume contest money went missing. But then you have to make a decision. Go with Shaggy and Scooby and get Scooby snacks? or go with the others and figure out the problem. Then, when you make your decision, you know you're going to have to read the book. Now, there are lots of decisions to make with this book. You can go back and change them. I did it like 12 times. Or 11. I give Scooby-Doo and the Salem Witch Showdown 10 out of 10 stars because I really liked how they find out that they are the smart ones.
Nice.
Instead of the fake Mystery Inc. And now it's time for the interview of an interesting person. Today's is going to be so much fun. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Patrick Noonan. Okay, wait. I gotta get this one right. Let's do this again. Today we have the one, the only, the amazing Super Pat.
Wow.
Super Pat is the creator of the hit Facebook gaming channel, Super Pat World.
Wow. Well, thanks again, Tiberius, for having me on. It's an honor to be on your show. I think you do a great job as a host, and I'm excited to see where your career takes you.
Thank you. So first off, how are you enjoying being on the show?
I am loving being on the show. It feels like hanging out with a buddy. I think you do a great job hosting, and I'm a big fan of the show. So thanks again for having me on.
Well, you're welcome. Okay, so I have to ask. You were listed as the creator of the popular gaming channel, Super Pat World. And a music teacher?
I know. How weird is that? A music teacher that plays video games online. That's really weird.
Yeah. Okay, so I am sure that this is going to be a good story. How does a music teacher get started in the gaming world?
Well, as a teacher, I like to take the summers off. And so this past summer, I was supporting my friend who got started as a streamer. And I said, you know what? I'd like to experiment with trying it out myself. And so I kind of took last summer to experiment, try it out, sort of learn the ropes, get the technological stuff down. And I've fallen in love with it ever since. I've been doing it. I've streamed most days ever since then. And now I'm almost June 30th will be my 1 year anniversary as a streamer.
Oh, wow. That's really cool. So what got you interested in running your own gaming channel?
Well, it was an interesting thing happened right before the month before I started. I was reading about Mixer was a streaming platform, and they went down. They got shut down one way or another. And Facebook Gaming took in all the streamers from Mixer that wanted to come over there. Wow. And so it seemed like, oh, this is an interesting point in the history where Facebook Gaming might be more and more investing into itself and growing. And so it might be a good time to give it a try. And so I just made a channel, gave it my best, and here we are.
Wow. Now, I watch your channel at least twice a week.
Nice.
Well, what helped you decide to do this every single day?
Well, part of doing it every single day comes down to making a consistent schedule helps to make yourself available to your audience in the sense that you can kind of find ways into people's schedules. There's some people that watch me on their lunch break, or some people like watch as a family after dinner. And depending on where they are on planet Earth depends on what time it is for them. So for some people, they're tuning in like some people will come in the chat and say, good morning. And then other people are saying, okay, good night. I'm going to bed. So it's interesting because I'm streaming at the same time every day, but it's all different times, all different people. It's
like when people say good morning, I say good night. Or maybe, yeah. I can't wait for the summer. I can't wait to turn into your thing every day.
There we go. I'll be happy to have you.
I don't know about Supporter Sunday, though. I don't know how to get into a supporter, so.
That's all right. Don't worry about it.
Well, now I noticed you pick classic games as your style. What got you interested in Mario and other classic style games?
Well, Mario has been my ultimate favorite game since I was a little kid. And so it's the game I've played the most, from Mario 1, Mario 2, Mario 3, all the Mario 64. I basically played all the Mario games leading up to Mario Maker. And part of what really made Mario Maker so interesting to me is it took so many of those older games and brought them all into a single game. So there's so much variety, and it's the game that I feel like I'm the best at. and it has to do with just having played those Mario games so much.
Yeah. Well, what's the best part about being a live streamer?
The best part about being a live streamer is definitely getting to hang out with all the viewers. That has been almost like therapy for me, especially as in 2020, how we were all stuck inside more and more, and I was having less opportunities to actually like hang out with my friends and my family. So it ended up meaning a lot to be able to jump on the stream and then hang out with people on the internet. And because it really is, it's a way to connect people that it didn't even exist before, and now here we are. So
Wow.
that's definitely been the best part for me.
So you had like 2 months before you started streaming last year. 2 months after COVID came.
That's right, yeah, because it was March or April, and then I started the
Yeah.
channel June 30th. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Quick maths.
Yeah, that's very good. Well done.
Well, thank you. No, now I notice most of your time is playing Mario Maker 2, where people get to make their own levels for you to beat. Well, what got you the idea that this would be the center of your channel?
Well, I love that question because it points out one of the most unique and interesting things about Mario Maker, which is as a viewer, you get to make your own level, and then you get to watch me play your level. And so if you put little puzzles in there, you get to watch me try to figure it out. And then if you feel like I need a hint, you can throw a hint out. So it's a very unique experience for a video game, whereas typically you'd just be watching somebody play a game you really like without actually like being directly involved in what they're playing. But Mario Maker offers this very unique experience where you can create something and then watch someone actually play it.
So, do you have to review the levels first before recording your stream?
Well, depending on what kind of levels I'm playing, sometimes I have the opportunity to review it if I like heard that, oh, this is a great set of levels, or this is a really hard level to try. Sometimes I'll check it out beforehand. But when I take level requests from the chat, I don't get a chance to review it. I just have to play what comes. And sometimes that can be just a little 2-minute ordeal, but sometimes it can take me an hour or more. So in that case, I never know what I'm going to get. It's a mystery.
Now, because I don't have a Nintendo Switch, I've been making games on Bloxels. Wish they were a sponsor. Well, do you think that over time you might cover other games created with 8-bit graphics?
Yeah, I think it's, as a streamer, as you grow, you get more and more flexibility for different things to try and different things to play. Whereas starting out, I think you have the biggest advantage kind of sticking to a single lane, so that you can build an audience. But then once that audience exists, you have a little more freedom and flexibility to try other things. And that would definitely be something I'd be interested in.
Okay. Well, now I've been learning shading with my pixel art. Do you make your own art or design any of the levels yourself?
I attempted to create a level, and it was actually before I started streaming, and it didn't go very well. I tried it, and it's something that I'd have to put more time into doing, because it doesn't necessarily come natural to me. I've always wanted to be able to like draw and be good at art, but if I'm being honest, it's always been a struggle. But
Yeah.
I'd still like to do it, and I hope to in the future. But as of now, it's a struggle for me.
So when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up? Did you always know that you were going to work in the gaming world?
I certainly did not. If there's two things I would have said I would have never guessed doing, it would have been being a teacher and playing video games on the internet. I never saw that coming in a million years.
But
Growing
at
up,
the same time.
yeah, especially not at the same time. But growing up, I always wanted to be a musician, of either like writing music for movies or just like in a band. And I did try to do that, and I wasn't able to pull it off. I did my best, and I still love to make music, but I recognized in my early 20s that it didn't seem like I was going to be able to do that like as my career, at least not then. Something I'll always have in the back of my mind, but that's when I turned more to teaching.
Okay. Well, what is the coolest part about being a live streamer on Facebook?
The coolest part about being a streamer on Facebook, first of all, it's getting to play video games every day. That's really cool.
I mean, true.
I really
Not
like that.
I do it.
And the other cool part is that connection I was talking about. Getting to, I genuinely look forward to not only just playing the video game, but getting to see some of the familiar people. And for me, it's not familiar faces; it's familiar names in the chat. Getting to see different people and then meeting new people. That experience, it feels like going out and like hanging out with people. So I really enjoy it. It's like a safe social experience in that it doesn't come with some of the social anxiety of being there in person, where you're like worried about like it could get real free. I could get freaked out if I'm in a big group of people, but if it's just in front of the computer, it doesn't feel as scary.
Yeah. Okay, well, what kind of tasks does a live streamer need to do on a daily basis?
Well, there are some less fun parts of being a streamer, and that can be one of them. There's a lot of technical difficulties you face, and I'm sure you know it running the Tiberius show. Lots of different technological issues come up, and that it's just part of the job. You gotta kind of just be willing to try, have it not work, and then learn. This is part of where the Google comes in huge, because you could Google it, and then somebody might have already had the same problem, and then you learn from them how to fix it. Sometimes it works right away. Sometimes you have to try a lot of different things. But getting the stream up and running every day sort of requires trying it out.
Work.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Well, does it take a lot of setup each day, or just like a click, 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 done?
Well, you can get most of it set up. So as long as it's when it doesn't work as you expected it to. Sometimes the setup that worked yesterday, if like the computer updates or the software updates, now you do everything you normally do and it doesn't work. That's where it starts to get a little crazy.
That's when it gets frustrating.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes the software updates when you're asleep.
Right.
And when that happens, like, what just happened to my computer? Like, why are all my tabs down? Because I leave all my tabs open.
Oh, boy.
I want to, like, save stuff.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah. Or do you need a lot of training to work in this job, or just mad skills?
Well, I'd say with any job, especially involving the internet and technology, you're going to need some amount of training. But the good news is you can get a lot of that training all by yourself just by Googling, using YouTube. There's so many resources available now. Here we are in the age of information, where if you want to learn something, you can find out how to do it on the internet. So that's really encouraging.
Okay. So I know everyone that I know wants to have their own streaming channel. And remember, a lot of parents are going to be listening to this answer. But do you really make money playing video games?
Yeah, that is definitely a very strange part of this whole live streaming thing that's come to exist, where you do make money. And part of the trouble is it's not always necessarily consistent. So the nature of it is you can't predict how much money you're going to make in any given month ahead of time. And so that's by the big names, all the really big streamers, they get sponsorships and contracts with different companies. And that's when you can start making consistent money and when things can be more like your actual job. But outside of that, it can be really difficult to be able to count on a certain amount of money coming in. And if you can't count on a certain amount of money coming in, then you have to worry about your bills not being paid. So that's sort of the trade-off.
Okay, I'm happy about that. I want to know if I want to be a live streamer. I really do. And if I play, like, video games 24/7, I would get money. That's something that I've always wanted to do.
I hate it. See, that's
playing video games.
It's kind of like, there's a lot of people that play basketball or play baseball, and their dream is to be in the major leagues. Yeah. It's a totally great dream to have, and you want to work towards it, give it your best shot. But the harsh reality is it's only the top small percentage of people who ever make it to the major league. So it's one of those things where I think it's great to try it, have it as a hobby, see what happens.
Like bowling too.
Bowling too, exactly. Any sport, really, any activity that has that top level. I think it's worth trying for, but I think it's important to also have it in the back of your mind where it's only a very small percentage of people who end up getting there, and that there's some amount of luck involved in most of that.
Okay. Well, what is the most hardest part about being a Facebook live streamer?
The hardest part for me has to do with doing it every single day, because sometimes I'll be in a bad mood or something bad will happen. I'll have some. Yes, I'll have. Yes, exactly. I'll get some bad news, maybe like an hour before the stream, or have a conflict a half hour before the stream, and then I still have to go at my predetermined time and try to be positive. So sometimes that can be difficult because I'm not very good at faking it if I'm upset. So I'd say that's the hardest part, is just doing it every single day, even when you're not necessarily in the best mood. But usually within like 20 minutes, I'm always very happy to be there, and it usually helps me in a better mood. But it's just the reality that as a human, nobody's always in a great mood.
Kind of like with what happened to my dad's eye.
Yes.
Now you can cut it out, Dad. Do you know which is better to get started with? Facebook, Twitch, or YouTube? And why did you pick Facebook?
Well, that's a great question, too. Twitch is the biggest platform.
Oh.
So
maybe.
that's good in the sense that this is where when we're talking about these major league streamers that have sponsorships, most of them are on Twitch. So that makes Twitch very interesting in that way. But the other side of that coin is there's so much more competition on Twitch because it's the main platform. So because your question is which one's better to get started with, Facebook has the most potential for quick growth because it's smaller and there's less competition and there's more potential for overall growth with viewers and there's less people playing the same game as you. But so that it's kind of a trade-off. So I think Facebook gaming is a great place to start if you if you want to jump in on a smaller platform. But some people still choose Twitch because it is the major leagues. It's the big one. So it's kind of preference.
So sometimes you start with Facebook and then you kind of move into YouTube and then then after you're done with YouTube and Facebook, just move to Twitch. You'll be fine.
Yeah, well, it's really it's a really interesting time with the different, like you named, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook gaming, that they're all competing right now. So ultimately, sometimes one of the platforms will pay a big streamer and say, hey, we want you only to stream here. And so then that's another way that sometimes they make money. They're all trying to get the best platform. So it's an interesting time as they're competing.
Bribing, yes. That's how people get people to live stream on their channel.
Whatever works. Sometimes.
Yes. Sometimes deaths do happen. Well, what was the first job that you ever had?
The first job I ever had was at Papagino's, which was my favorite restaurant growing up, my favorite pizza place. And it was quite an experience. I learned a lot at that job, especially having it be my first, where it was really hard sometimes, but it was also really fun, and I got to eat a lot of delicious food.
Oh. Well, have you ever eaten it again?
Yes.
Now that you're older, have you eaten it yet?
Yes, and it's still one of my favorites, but I haven't had it in a while. But I always love Papagino's.
Yeah. My favorite, I have a lot of favorite pizza places.
Me too.
Well, was there anything you learned from that job to help you be a better live streamer?
Well, I'd say that was my first time dealing with the general public, dealing with people in a professional setting where it was I had to take people's orders or maybe bring the food to the table if they were waiting for it. And those interactions definitely help you to build up that skill set that sometimes somebody might stop by the stream who is having a bad day or might have something negative to say. And that's an opportunity to not give in to the negativity and to instead try to just be accepting and say, hey, it's okay. If you want to hang out here, I'm happy to have you, but there's no pressure to stay. And so I'd say that kind of thing comes into play, like at Papagino's. If someone says, hey, you burnt my pizza, you can't be like, well, too bad, I don't care. You have to actually say, oh, my goodness, we're very sorry. Let me remake the food for you. You have to sort of be able to build that skill set so you don't just react. Even if someone's yelling at you, that doesn't mean you could yell back. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah. If someone yells at you, don't yell back. You gotta be kind.
Gotta be kind.
Be kind with people.
Very good. I
If you're
appreciate.
not
I
kind
agree.
to them, then they won't be kind to you.
There it is. That definitely
If they won't
helps.
be kind to you, and if you're mad at them, that means that no friendship is gonna happen.
Probably not. Probably not that day.
So in your bio, it says that you are also a music teacher. So which job is more fun?
More fun. Well, if we're talking about playing video games, I don't know what. There's not many activities that are going to be as fun as playing video games, especially.
It's obvious.
Yeah. So if it's strictly by what's more fun, then I would say playing video games as a streamer. But if we're talking about what's more satisfying, probably doing my work as a teacher is more satisfying in that it directly positively affects my students' lives. And so, but then at the same time, sometimes with streaming, I can positively affect people's lives just by interacting with them on the stream. So, so if I just had to answer the question of which one's more fun, playing video games online is more fun because it's video games. That's the simple answer.
I mean, true. Well, what got you interested in being a music teacher?
Well, when I was going to school, I did not enjoy school very much. I had a hard time, especially in the later grades. I really struggled with school. So the last thing I ever thought is that I would be a teacher. But I had this opportunity to try it out. And as soon as I got in there, I said, you know what? This is really cool. I really appreciated getting to be on the other side of it and interacting with students and being able to understand, hey, I get it. I know what it's like to be in school and not want to be there. So I don't hold it against you. And so I think being able to connect with students and have them understand I'm on their side. I want to support them and help them succeed. It's not that I want, a lot of times at school, it can feel like the teacher just wants me to do whatever they say. And that never feels good. It makes a big difference if you feel like your teacher wants to help you and succeed for your own sake. And I think that's the big difference. And if that's what I can bring to the table in a unique way.
Okay. Well, what is your favorite song to have your students sing?
My favorite song, well, sometimes at music time, I will sing a song called You Gotta Keep Your Head Up by Andy.
Gotta keep your head up.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the
gotta
one.
keep your head up. Hey.
That's the one, exactly. And so, especially because of that, that really lends itself to being able to sing along. And so I'd pick that one.
Okay. Well, do they know that you were a live streamer?
No, that's one interesting thing is one interesting thing about me starting this past summer is I only stream at night. And so it's one of those things with I have family members, friends that have no idea that I stream. It's not one of those things where like I go and tell everybody, partially because a lot of people don't understand it yet. And they think like, why is anybody watching somebody play video games when they could just play video games themselves?
That's what my dad always wants me to do. Like, why watch videos when you can make videos?
That's the compelling point. But what's interesting is when you look at something like sports, people like to watch people play sports, even though they don't necessarily want to play the sport. Like it's fun to watch somebody do something they're really good at, especially if you like to do it too. Yeah. So when you relate it to sports, it starts to make more sense why people would want to watch somebody else play video games the same way you want to watch somebody else play football.
Yeah. Like, if you really want to watch people play Bloxels, you can play Bloxels, or you can watch them playing Bloxels and learn how to do it.
Exactly. You might learn from them. I think that's a big part of it, too.
Like tutorials.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is the most rewarding part about being a music teacher?
The most rewarding part is when I get to see a student gain skills. Like, as a direct result of being able to teach them, see them get better and better, and oftentimes they'll surprise me and come up with things that I wouldn't have come up with. And so that's probably the most rewarding is when a student kind of does something that I wouldn't have been able to do. It's sort of like a really cool little twist where it's not just that you get them to be as good as you can sort of equip them, and then with their personality and their brain, they take what you equip them with and do all types of new things. That's probably the most rewarding.
Okay. Well, what kind of music teacher are you? Do you like deal with bands, singing, learning an instrument, or how to read music?
Well, part of what I love my position is that I get to kind of do whatever makes sense with that student. So for some students, it's working on learning to record music. Some students want a guitar lesson, like a traditional guitar lesson. Some people might want just to learn a specific song or learn how to write something, or learn how to edit video. So it's really, it even goes beyond music, and it's more of what I want to help equip my student to do whatever they want with digital creation, whether it be with music or making video, and sort of just help them have the tools to do it.
Okay. So as a music teacher, does that mean you can sing?
A little bit. I can hold a tune.
Okay. Well, do you want to throw me some freestyle bars?
Okay, let's go with a little Tiberius original here. Bada boom, 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 bada. Tiberius, are you serious? He's mysterious. He's Tiberius. Hey, there we go.
Okay, that was nice. Well, what was the craziest thing that has happened while you were doing your passion?
The craziest thing. Well, if we're talking about live streaming as a passion, then the craziest thing, I tried to beat this really difficult level that no one had ever beaten before. And I said, okay, I'm not going to stop the stream until I beat it. And so 6 hours went by, still didn't beat it. 8 hours went by, still didn't beat it. And then I hit 12 hours trying to beat this level.
And then you finally beat it.
No, that's why I wish the story ended. But instead, the maximum length for a stream on Facebook, at least for my channel, was 12 hours. So the Facebook cut me off. So the channel ended, the stream ended before I got to beat it. So I went to sleep, woke up, and then started a new stream. And then about it started again. And then about 5 or 6 hours later, I finally beat it.
Wow.
So that was probably the craziest. I never expected to.
That's 17 or 18 hours.
Yeah, exactly. It was way up there. It was a wild time. Good math. Yeah. Very good math there.
Thank you. Well, who helped motivate or inspire you the most in following your dreams?
Wow. Well, I really love all the behind the scenes kind of stories. Like when I was younger, there was a show on VH1 called Behind the Music, where it would kind of talk about how any given musician, their rise to fame, how it worked. And that originally inspired me, like, wow, anybody can do it. And nowadays you can find those same kind of behind the music or behind the scenes videos about all types of people, especially on YouTube. There's YouTubers that all of their content, they create kind of like behind the scenes documentaries about how different people rise to fame and get a lot of followers or just attract an audience. There's so many interesting stories. And so that really inspires me to see all the different ways that people end up rising to fame and being successful.
Okay. Well, what advice would you go on to give my listeners if they wanted to grow up and be a live streamer?
Well, but I think the best advice to start with is find something that you like to do that besides video games that can be like the guaranteed moneymaker, so that you have like a regular job, so to speak, so that you can then be a live streamer on the side and you don't have to rely on live streaming for your money. Because like I said, the trouble is you can't count on any given month making a certain amount of money. You might have a really good month on February, and then March you might make half as much. And so it's the kind of thing that you want to build up while you have another job. So my big piece of advice would be, don't think of it as something where you like don't do anything else. All you do is live stream and you hope for the best, because you're still going to need to live and pay bills and stuff at the same time. So it's kind of like a struggling actor, the thing that they'll move to LA, get like a job as a waiter or something, and then try to get jobs on the side so that they can have consistent money while still pursuing their dream. So I'd say looking at it like that is really helpful. And also being able to set boundaries so that you don't want to take it too far and burn out. If you play video games 12 hours a day for 6 months straight, it's going to be too much. You're either going to have some kind of health issue, or you're not even going to want to play the game anymore. So it's one of those things where it can be so fun, it can be difficult to learn where to draw the line and say, okay, well, I don't want to play more than 2 hours a day. Or sometimes your mom or dad might be able to help you find what that limit should be, so that in the long term, you can play consistently and not have anything bad happen.
So I know that there is stuff for computers. I know there is like special glasses.
Yes.
That help your eyesight to not be very bad to your eyes.
Yes.
And all that stuff. That's why a lot of people either wear contacts for their games with the blue thing, and then some people wear glasses for it.
Yes. I've seen that. I have a pair myself.
Well, what do you think is the one thing that is helping build your audience?
Well, I had a student that loved Mario as much as me. And so I wanted to, when we would be hanging out, I wanted to be able to watch some Mario stuff with him and kind of bond over Mario. But the trouble is, a lot of the content out there would have some swears in it, or wouldn't necessarily be appropriate for like a teacher and student to watch together.
That's what happens with like YouTube and all that stuff.
With you, exactly. It's a common issue where sometimes the content is being created for teenagers or adults, and so it doesn't always work its best for all audiences. So I think part of what helps my audience grow is that I'm specifically looking to create content that anybody of any age, any beliefs, wherever you're coming from, I want you to be able to be comfortable and hang out and enjoy some Mario, and just not have to worry about that side of things.
Okay. So my dad said he might help me make a channel when I'm ready. Well, what do you think a kid like me needs to do to be ready to have their own channel?
Okay, well, there's a couple things. First and foremost, you want to make sure you're not breaking any rules, because the worst thing that could happen is you get started, you're loving it, everything's going, and then they shut your channel down. So you don't.
Yeah.
So like you want to make sure, how old do you have to be according to the rules? How you want to get. You really want to know the rules. So that's step one. Once you know the rules and you know how old you're going to be and all those things, then you got to practice talking, because if you're going to keep an audience interested, you're going to have to talk to them. And sometimes it can almost be frustrating to be trying to focus on the game and talk at the same time. And the last thing you want to do is get grumpy at the audience when they're trying to interact with you, because that's part of what you're doing. So being able to just practice talking while you're playing video games, it sounds like a silly thing, but like a lot of times I will play video games while I'm doing other things in order to practice that multitasking thing, especially early on.
Well, what was the one episode of your stream that you were most proud of? And can I guess it real quick?
Yes, go ahead.
Was it your 1,000 wins for the Mario 35?
Yeah, I'd have to say that one, because that game came out in October, and they told us at the beginning of the game it was only going to exist for 6 months. And so it was about 1 or 2 months in, I had a couple hundred wins and said, you know what? I have a chance to hit 1,000. I'm going to try to do it. And so, and it was the last week that it was available that I hit the 1,000. So it was like right at the deadline, and sort of hit it just in time. Really felt good. And because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it, but it ended up being a lot of fun. And I think you nailed it, Tiberius. That's the one I'd pick.
It should be like able to play again, because it's a really fun game.
I know. I hope they bring it back. They might bring it back someday. You never know.
Yeah. Well, if you could go back 10 years and tell yourself something, what would it be?
10 years. So I think the big message I'd want to tell my younger self is to not be so worried about fitting in or being something you're not. Because it can feel a lot of pressure from your friends or at school to be a certain way or do a certain thing or dress a certain way or to try to be cool. And ultimately, none of that matters. If anything, you have more to gain by being yourself and discovering who you are and what it is about you that makes you unique. And I think, Tiberius, you're a great example hosting the show, that it's clear that you're not trying to do what everybody else is doing. You've got your own style. You do the things that most interest you. And as you're pursuing that path, you're naturally gaining success and being recognized as, hey, the Tiberius show, this is something unique, something that nobody else is offering. So I think that's a great example of the message I'd want to give myself is, don't be so worried about trying to be like everybody else or be accepted, and instead accept yourself and learn what things matter the most to you.
Okay. Well, what was the biggest mistake you ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
The biggest mistake I ever made. Well, I was asked to play organ for a wedding. You know when the bride walks down the. Say that again.
The organ drill.
The organ, yeah. Well, when the bride walks down the aisle, you got to do the da 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 da, that song. And so I was asked, hey, can you play this? And I said, yeah, I could do that. I've played keyboard and piano for most of my life, so I'm sure I can play the organ. Probably not a big deal. And I overestimated. I was a little too confident in my ability. And this was many, many years ago. I was pretty young, but I said, you know what? I could probably do it. And I didn't take it all that seriously because I thought, oh, well, I can learn this pretty easily. And then it was like 2 nights before the wedding, and I realized, I haven't practiced this very much. I better get good at this now. And then I realized just how different it was playing an organ, and you had the pedals to deal with. It wasn't just your hands. And then on the organ itself, there's different layers of keyboards, and it was this very overwhelming thing. And the more I tried to play it, the more I kept messing up, and I was like, oh no, this is not looking good. This is not looking good, my friend. Mm-hmm. And so then the day came, and there I was. The cathedral was full. Everyone was there. The bride was starting to walk down the aisle. I hit my beginning, that da 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 da, and then I started out da 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 da. And literally, I stopped playing. Everybody that was there went, whoosh. They all looked over at me, and I turned beet red, and I was like, I just ruined this person's wedding. I can't believe this just happened. And so I started again. I said, okay, let's just restart. Let's restart. Da, 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 da. Same spot, messed up against it. There it is. Yeah, that's what it was. I was feeling that growl when everyone's looking at me, and I was like, I can't believe it. I felt so embarrassed. I felt so bad. And so I just did the best I could, and she made it down the rest of the aisle. But I have never been more embarrassed. And the biggest mistake I made was just saying yes and then not practicing the way I needed to. So I regret that to this day, and I'm very sorry. If the bride is listening, I'm very sorry.
I don't know if they are or not.
I don't know. They're probably not, but just in case.
Yeah, just in case. Well, do you play non-Mario video games? And if you do, what is your favorite one?
I used to play non-Mario video games, like especially Zelda, but ever since I started streaming, I've mostly just stuck to Mario games.
I mean, now there is a Link mod.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. The Link power up.
Yeah, the Link power up.
And that's part of what I love about Mario Maker 2 is there's so much variety in the mechanics that you get to do different stuff. Like you're saying, play as Link even within a Mario game.
Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you?
Well, I think just know that I'm just a regular guy. I love to play video games, and that I'd want to encourage everybody out there to do their best. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Okay. Well, do you have a website or Facebook for my listeners to want to follow you?
Yes. On Facebook, if you just type in Super Pat World, 3 words, Super Pat World, my page will come right up, and you can follow me there. Every day I stream at 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern time.
That's right.
And it's always a rated G stream. So there's a...
Well, you tried to.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I can only be responsible for me. Sometimes in the chat, if somebody says something that's not rated G, I can delete it, but I can't anticipate it. I can't have it deleted before it exists. But I can at least guarantee I will keep it rated G. There's a lot of parents that tune in with their kids as of now already.
What if you're playing like the Mario?
Yep.
And they say it, do you realize it when you're like in the game or?
Yeah, a lot of times because there's moderators that help me, and so that they can delete it too.
True.
So whoever sees it first deletes it, and so my job is to not say it out loud. If I see it, because the only voice you can hear on the stream is mine. So that's. But as far as the chat in where people can type in, if I see something that's not rated G, then one of us will delete it.
Yes. Well, what is the one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
I think you forgot to ask me what my favorite takeout food is right now. We kind of talked about pizza a little bit with Papagino's.
What is it?
But I think, so I just discovered this amazing Italian restaurant near me.
More pizza, I'm guessing.
Yeah. It's this place called Trattoria Almafi. I can't even pronounce it, but it's unbelievable. They have this cheese ravioli with pesto sauce that's unbelievable, and the best chicken parmigiana I've ever had.
That's really cool.
Yes.
Well, what is the one question? Stand by 2.
Take 2.
Well, thank you, Super Pat, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
You betcha.
2 plus 2 is 4, minus 1 plus 3. Quick maths.
Boom.
Thank you, Super Pat, for helping me with Math Corners. Today, we're going to talk about dividing fractions. I've been doing my IXL.com math exercises, and we got into a number of problems that have to do with dividing fractions. Well, I have been doing my IXL.com math exercises, and we got into a number of problems that have to do with dividing fractions. So, most people know how to multiply a fraction, but what if I told you that there was a special trick so you can divide fractions easily?
Oh?
Yes.
Tell me.
Let's say we have 3/5 divided by 1/2. So what we have to do is take the top of the first number and times it by the bottom of the second.
Okay.
So 3 times 2 is 6. So the top of my answer will be 6.
Okay.
Now, I take the bottom of the first number and times it by the top of the second. So 5 times 1 is 5, so the bottom number is 5, making the answer 6 over 5 and 1 1/5.
Very interesting.
Some say you can just take the second number and flip it and then multiply, and that works as well.
Okay.
But it is easier to do my trick since it does not require paper or altering the page with the answer on it. Well, you can just circle or cross out the numbers that you have multiplied and then write down the answer. Well, this makes dividing fractions so much easier to deal with. And a short name for it is called the butterfly effect.
Ooh. I like that.
So, Super Pat, do you now know all about how to divide fractions?
Well, I don't know all about dividing fractions, but I do deal with fractions in my Super Mario Maker 2 game because for any level, it tells you how many clears there are.
Yes.
Out of how many? Yeah, out of how many attempts. So if one person beat it and it took them 100 tries, that's 1 over 100.
1 over 100, yeah.
And so then that tells you the clear rate.
That's why it says 3 over 15 million something.
Exactly.
15,000 with
yes.
Which one that is called? With the Rio Car Challenge?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And then it gives you a percentage. So if it's 1 over 100, that's a 1% clear rate. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Super Pat, for your help with Math Corners.
No problem.
And now it's time for the Heart of a Lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of living by the heart of a lion, which stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. Well, this week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. Well, I have been having some issues getting all my work done in school, and both my mom and dad have been looking for solutions. They both have shown leadership skills by finding solutions that were very differently. My dad accidentally killed the internet until my schoolwork was done. This was not my favorite way to solve the issue. Well, my mom would usually give me 10-minute breaks after each assignment so I could watch videos. If I went over 10 minutes, then I would have to do 2 assignments in between breaks instead of 1.
Wow.
This one was more fun, but it took longer. Both came up with an organization and improved guidance and direction. So, Super Pat, did you see or use leadership at all this week?
Yes, I did a viewer level stream where people submit their levels to me, and I was really having trouble being able to figure out how long to play each level before moving on to the next level. And so I think part of being a good leader is being able to listen to other people and be able to take ideas from other people and be able to listen, basically. And so I had to listen to the ideas that other people had, and now I'm going to be incorporating those next week to try to make it a little better.
Okay. Well, of all of the Heart of a Lion virtues, which is your favorite?
Definitely leadership, because it relates to that thing we talked about in the interview of being yourself, but not feeling the pressure to go in to do what everybody else is doing, and instead be confident in knowing who you are, what you stand for, and do what's important to you.
Well, we should always try and be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Definitely.
And that's our show, folks. I'm going to thank the one, the only, the amazing Super Pat for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking with you today, and I hope in the future that I can learn to make my own channel.
Well, I'm sure you'll do great, Tiberius. You have a great personality. Thanks so much for having me on the show, and I'm already a fan of yours, my friend.
You're welcome, and be sure to listen to us next week on the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius. Bye!